So, day 7 out of 24 days of reading the entire New Testament over my Christmas break. If you want some more context, go to my latest YouTube video as to why I'm doing this. The chapters covered will be in the description, but today's key takeaway comes from Matthew chapter 22, the last chapter that I read. I haven't been taking a lot of key takeaways from the Gospels. It's been more from the letters, but that's just because growing up in church, I know at least somewhat of what the Gospels contain. Not saying I understand fully, but I would come across a passage and I'd be like, okay, I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with that. But in the letters is the one where I was like, oh, I've never read this before. So that's where a lot of key takeaways is coming from. But this key takeaway comes from Matthew 22, verses 41 through 46. Verse 41, now while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them a question, saying, what do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he? They said to him, the son of David. He said to them, how is it then that David in the Spirit calls him Lord, saying, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. If then David calls him Lord, how is he his son? And no one was able to answer him a word, nor from that day did anyone dare to ask him any more questions. Jesus is showing the Pharisees their flawed interpretation of the Messiah. See, the Pharisees had this interpretation of the Messiah as like a political figure, as a king, an earthly king who's going to come and overturn Rome. And that's not the case. They didn't think that the Messiah was going to be God. And this is where Jesus is like, okay, first, we both know that the Messiah is from the line of David. Now I want you to also apply Psalm 110, which is where this quote comes from. How can David also call him Lord? And how is it that he is his son? It's because the Messiah is from the lineage of David, being of his human descent, but also he has a divine nature. So both fully man, fully God is what Jesus is. And the Pharisees did not understand the fully God part. That wasn't in their own interpretation of what they thought the Messiah was going to be. So, and then the last verse is just the icing on the cake. It's like they didn't ask him any more questions from that day. It was like that one. They were like, okay, I'm not going to ask you any more questions, which was kind of funny. But yeah, can't wait to see you in day 8.